like I want to talk about something very interesting. And I'm not talking about this as a fact. I'm talking about this in a perspective of people who are believing it. But this is not pure fact. But for the fact that there's people who have this perspective, I'm going to put myself in their shoes and speak according to them and interrogate their cries as if I'm thinking like them. I don't know if it makes sense, but you'll get where I'm going with this. So there's people who are saying Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, if he leaves, it's gonna be the end of the EFF. And trust me, they genuinely believe that. They believe it. So like there's something very interesting in this discussion, because is Julius Malema really willing to give up the EFF for it to die just because of Ndlozi? He was. So he's willing to go to that extent and test this theory that if Mbuyiseni Ndlozi leaves, if whoever leaves, because Julius Malema is at that point whereby akancenga umuntu, this man, in this point as a leader. That's why you heard him speaking with the ground forces the other day. He was like, if you want to leave, leave. All those who want to leave can leave. So a man who has got his life in that point, you can only imagine what type of things he'd be thinking about. You can only imagine what type of state of mind that man is in, because he's ready to put this theory into test that, okay, if Vela the EFF has to die because this one is living and these ones are going to be living, let's put it to test. Let's see if it works. This man is taking a very great risk into doing everything that has been happening in the EFF. Even him as the leader, of course, this thing was a collective wisdom from the CCT. Like we found out, all the majority of the decisions are taken in the CCT of the EFF. So as a leader, for him to even declare the MK party as the enemy of the EFF from the get, not even being afraid of people who are going to manipulate the sympathy of the public and try and say, hey, unity among. So he was so ahead to even not be scared to call the MK party the enemy of the EFF, risking that much for people to even say the EFF is the one against black unity, knowing very well, as a leader, he knew only time can expose the truth. A house built on lie will never stand. A house built on false lies will never stand. He knew, as the leader of the EFF, he built the EFF on decisive leadership. He's a very decisive leader. When he says this is not going to happen, it's not going to happen. They call him dictator, they call him what? But they don't want to tell you. He's decisive. He's decisive. And he's very responsible and accountable. And I like that. If he's a dictator, it's fine. I like those characteristics because I'm a young man. So I want to be that decisive. I don't want to play around being indecisive like a sissy boy. I'm just saying though. So imagine him as a leader being put in this situation now in South African politics, whereby he's the most talked about, the most ridiculed leader for everything happening in his party, and he's still willing to let go one of the most valuable assets in the South African parliament and also in the South African politics of the EFF. He's willing to let go of Ndlozi. Agaspy, if you want to go, go. That's what he's saying. So that's a great risk. That's a very great risk, because if indeed the EFF has to collapse because Ndlozi is staying in the EFF, then there's no EFF. There's just Ndlozi. That means we are following Ndlozi. We're not following the EFF. If the EFF has to collapse because people are leaving, that means no, there's no EFF, there's those people. So with him being a very, very sharp leader, he's willing to let go of the people associated with the EFF dying, the people whom are seen as the pillars of the EFF. He's willing to put it to test that is this EFF really gonna stand the test of time? Because it can't just depend on people for it to stand. He's willing to go to that extent to prove this theory that Ndlozi, if he leaves, the EFF is gonna die. He's willing to prove that. Is it gonna happen or not? He's a risk taker, and it's good, to take such risks, because after all, only time speaks. After all, we are dealing with people, we are dealing with voters, we are dealing with the public sympathy, we are dealing with the media, the liars, we are dealing with opposition parties, the useless MK, everyone. So certain things, you just have to be brutal about them. And I'm not even trying to say you have to be disrespectful. I'm just saying you have to make some other decisions weak leaders would never make. Because the decisions that Julius Malema has been making lately, these decisions are a power move for a greater plan, for something. There's something this man is cooking. With all these things happening, his name being the center of South African politics, from the beginning of 2025, is the one being discussed. His party is the one being discussed. Everything else is surrounding the EFF. There's something this man is cooking. There's something this man is cooking. One thing people don't understand about the CIC, and that's why they undermine him, they insult him, like that's why they get shocked when they see he's still even trending until today. The same people who claim he's irrelevant, they are lying. They can see he's too relevant than anyone else. They fail to see because they're in denial. They don't want to wake up and open their eyes. The CIC. Yazin, let me not even tell you, because it will take a whole nother video. Maybe we can do a separate video another day about that. But this is just my theory. I think that the CIC is willing to prove if the EFF is really gonna die or not, if certain characteristics live or stay. Because why else are we in this EFF? Why else is he leading the EFF if the EFF is depending on some other people from people who are not even in the top 6? So what type of organization is that? So let's prove this if it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, so be it. Let the EFF die. Like, I think that's where he's at in his thinking. He's in that type of time in his thinking. His mind is not here. Like, people are not understanding where this man is. They'll wake up very late. And they'll realize how strong the EFF is because of Julius Malema and the decisions he had to make this party strong. Look, today everyone is coming at it. The foundation is so strong. And now it's going through a sharpening time. They say with hard times, build strong men. This is the time for the EFF. But only time will tell. What do you think about this? It is what it is, though. Thank you very much.